Smooth 98.1, Lagos, Nigeria world. Here we are, gone past 6:30. And in Nigeria, it is a public holiday. Hey, hey, hey. Our independence, 62. And I'm glad that's a topic of discussion on today's Business Express. Joining me for the next few minutes is Rotus. Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you, Shokwe. Thank you, and good morning to all our listeners, viewers out there. And I guess, its independence was on Saturday, but
happy belated independence. Yeah,
yes,
62 years and counting, man.
Indeed, of independence, exactly.
As Nigeria gets to pension age, how are we going to rate Nigeria's performance, right? And so that's one of the things we're talking about. By the way, join this conversation because we're already streaming live on youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos. If you're on the app, search for Smooth 981. You can leave your comments on the live stream wherever you are, even if it's in bed for the people in Nigeria. Wherever you are, leave your comments on the live stream to join the conversation. If you are listening in and you want to send a message up on WhatsApp, the number is 0809-444-0981. But if Twitter is your jam, then go ahead and tweet at us at Smooth981FM and go ahead and tag at Rotanquote in as well. So, Rotus, Nigeria's economy at 62. How are we faring? Are we better off than when we were, 1, 2, 3, 10?
Yeah, I don't know.
He's like, I don't know.
maybe life expectancy where the average Nigerian maybe lives longer than when we gained independence. But in terms of the other regular metrics that we use to measure, quality of life, that's something that's. I wouldn't say we're better off in terms of where the currency is, how strong it is and what it could buy back in the 60s and now. Also, are you more or less stressed, than we were, years ago? That's another thing to look at. Quality of life, work-life balance. Are there more jobs, nowadays than back then? You say the labor force is bigger, so maybe you argue that with the bigger labor force and more companies now than they were back in 1960. Perhaps there are arguably more opportunities, but the rate of unemployment, that's another thing that one has to say has grown since that time compared to now. So
now, Rotus, one thing I want to ask, right, and this is a topic that keeps coming up, but this is a question that keeps coming up whenever we talk about brain drain, right, is when you talk about the rates of unemployment within the country, and then we now look at the rates of people who have left, and the numbers are higher than they've ever been before. So that's something Nigeria has done more than before in 62 years, But shouldn't that help with unemployment figures in the country? Because even if people will say, okay, there are people who are vastly underskilled to occupy the positions they're in, we still need people to occupy the positions that are available.
Yeah, we do. The thing is, is it a good thing that our best and brightest are leaving for other nations? Not really, because you want them here to be able to apply their skills to, being able to aid the country when it comes to so many things that need to be done. Now, on the flip side, if people leave and get better jobs overseas, they send money back home. So in terms of remittances, which is our highest foreign exchange earner, even more than oil, you're seeing those funds flowing. However, if you look at the global economic landscape now, in terms of unemployment overseas, where Nigerians are going, and inflation rising in other countries, their ability to send money back home, we'll have to see what the numbers look like at the end of 2022. But there's also there's that matter there. So so other countries are struggling with a whole number of other issues. So but that is. With such a crucial election coming up, and David Hundeyin was talking about using, and I know it's not Tech Friday, but still waiting till Friday, talking about how to monitor these elections more properly. moving forward, I guess that is the theme, doing things better. So can we have better monitored elections? Can we have better jobs? Can we have less crime? All these things that's the type of conversation, I would hope that we're having on these public holidays. How can we do much better in so many different sectors of the economy than we are now? So, that's what we would think about.
And considering the fact that we are ramping up to an election year, and we've seen campaigns going on, and we've seen the mood of the people in the numbers that come out for rallies and marches and whatnot.
Right.
I have a question, and I'm not sure I've asked this before. What do you think? Do you think this would have if we got a president that people have faith in and believe, and that maybe even on the international in the international community, there's this good faith that people can then investors can jump in on? Do you think we'll see a reversal in the brain drain trend?
Oh my goodness, Sope, that is an excellent question. If you have faith in something, it increases your enthusiasm. You mentioned investors, money will pour in. And it's interesting, one of the candidates who is linked to some of the rallies that you saw talked about how integrity is one of the biggest things that you want to see in a president, because the moment people see somebody that has integrity, they will bring. So of course, that will boost the enthusiasm. People will be, want to come back home because they feel that they have somebody in charge that is going to change. So that's huge. That would go a long way in raising confidence in the country, not just from foreign investors, but from people who may have been considering leaving. Because I think a lot of people who are looking at the outcome of the election, and I think it will determine whether they stay or leave. That's something that a lot of people are looking at. So that's also going to be very, very huge in terms of confidence in leadership going forward. But that person, whoever that person is, has a mountain to climb. So, it will help a lot. It will help a whole lot.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, we actually got some stories to talk about. So, the next thing that we'll look at is the fact that one of Nigeria's leading electricity power plants, Geregu Power PLC, set to list on the Nigerian stock exchange. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. It's according to Nairametrics. Nairametrics said they saw a document, so we'll have to see if that turns out to be the case. They're saying so. Yeah, I mean, we've only had one new listing on the exchange this year. I think that was Boa Foods back in January or so. And since then, you haven't had that many new companies listing on the exchange. So
what does that say? What does that mean? Does it mean anything?
It's not enough. It's not enough confidence in the Nigerian exchange. And in fact, interesting, this is a listing by introduction. It's not an IPO. It's not an initial public offering. Just real quick, an introduction just means that if you, Sope, are an existing shareholder in Geregu or Boa Foods, you're just selling some of your shares. So they're not creating new shares that new folks can buy. So that's what our introduction is. So we need more companies, because for a power plant to come on, that there are liquidity issues in the power sector. So it will probably encourage other power players in the power sector to list and try and raise money that way. So it's a good thing, and hopefully it turns out to be confirmed news. But Nairametrics, I mean, they've been doing so well. They are one of the platforms people turn to confirm news. So that's why I decided to throw it in there and have us talk about it. So that's a good thing. But now, we definitely
Quick question. Yeah. So if, because, once companies list, they're so beholden to their shareholders. So my question is this: you say it's a good thing, right? Would it be a good thing for consumers? Would they have more accountability? Like, what would it be on how would the experience be for consumers?
Yeah. So for a company to list on an exchange, that's a big corporate governance step. So that means that transparency initiatives, transparency thresholds have to be up there. The shareholders, are you going to put money in a company and buy shares if you don't think the company is being run very well? I mean, the chair of the company is one of the richest men in Nigeria, in the country. It's Femi Otedola. So he ran Forte Oil. That was another listed company. So that should give some confidence. But for consumers, it's a good thing, because you're like, okay, they're taking a step. They're listed. And that means that we expect them to be run properly. But it's just, you have to just make sure that this is power, and there have been a number of challenges with power companies. But it's overall be good for consumers as well.
All right, Joel says, hold on one second. Joel says the good thing about Nigeria is that we don't need to do much before foreign investors and the government step in to help. So much interest in Nigeria, however, bad government and regulators are discouraging them.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So again, that's to your question, Sope, earlier about what if somebody that people have good faith in, if that person comes in, what does that mean? It ushers in just enthusiasm and goodwill, and people just feel optimistic and be more enthusiastic about even the bad job numbers and so on and so forth, because they think that in 4 years things will turn around. So it's encouraging in that front.
All right. Well, we've come to the end of the show. I was hoping that we'll be able to put, well, do you think you could talk about this real quick about NNPC acquiring OVH Energy? Because that was one that I saw over this weekend.
Yeah. They announced it on Saturday. Yeah, I mean, that's, it's just a consolidation in the downstream sector. OVH has, I think, about 380 or so fuel stations. I think they run some Owando stations. I think they're getting a jetty. I can't remember what the capacity is, which will be able to carry, import, petroleum products into the country. Also, I think some liquefied natural gas plants. So it's good. It's a good thing. It's NNPC Limited. They're a commercial entity now, and it's one of the deals that they've snapped up since they became a commercial entity. So yeah, consolidation in the downstream sector, not a bad thing, and it's something to be celebrated.
Okay. And real quick, we'll end the show on this note from Gilbert Musa from Festac, who says, talking about high unemployment rates in Nigeria, one way out of this challenge is for other states in Nigeria, apart from Lagos, to industrialize their states and create jobs/work to reduce the rural-urban migration to Lagos. So,
I agree. Excellent point. Excellent point. He did. He did.
Thanks for that, Gilbert. Okay. So that's all, Rotus. I'm going to see you tomorrow. I'll say bright and early, but at least it's just early. It's never bright at this time.
Exactly.
During the daylight hours, go find Rotus. He is up on Twitter at RoadTancode. You can also catch him on your TV screens every day and elsewhere as well. Rotus, absolute pleasure. See you tomorrow, 6:30. Bye for now.